July 10th. It's a Friday, and this is the video log. It takes 30,000 to a million. It's definitely going to happen. Today I want to talk about a few things. After I show you the account or review some of the moves I made, I want to show you and share with you one of the struggles that I have, which is acquiring a residential property fund of some sort, and then like residential living, not commercial properties. And then also I want to discuss a revelation I had about the top companies and what it takes to succeed here as a company in the modern day. So without further ado, I'm going into the browser to show you that I'm sitting at $96,110, which is not my all-time high. I had an all-time high close yesterday at 96,782. Went all the way up to 97,000 in the morning before the markets open. Now, I like to sort this by today's returns. So you can see, as always, all of my plays here, all my holdings, by pausing your browser, or I'm sorry, your video player, and looking at the symbol, the strike price of the contract, what kind of contract it is, whether it's a call or a put. Then you have the expiration date of the contract, and then how many contracts it is, and whether it's a sell or a buy. So you can see I have many contracts, and a lot of them gain in value today because, or erase liability, because my positions actually fell down a bit. The only thing that didn't fall down is basically just Apple, which has been on an incredible run. I'm up $159 in Apple today, and my option, which has got a delta of 0.81 now. What that means is that for every $100 that a share of Apple goes up or down, the option moves $81. And so this effectively, this call right here acts as 81 shares of Apple. So that's why it moved more than my 75 shares. This is not exact science, of course. This is just how the the options acting. So this is O here. One of the positions that I've been trying to accumulate as of late is down $167, and a lot of positions are down. Uranium is down quite a bit. Chemical, I pre-sold all my shares, all 1,300 of them, through call options. So this negative number doesn't really affect me too much. And these are the rest of the positions. I have a little bit of SDAO, just a little leveraged play in case the market plunges in the coming days. Okay, so here's the account tab, which is I really like looking at. It's really informative. This circle here, it's pretty cool. I like Robinhood. It's good. Okay, 96,000 account, and I have $548 of cash. All the margin has been gone for quite some time. If you all remember, just a few weeks ago, I was really heavily margined. Not a few weeks, but maybe like a couple months. Really heavily margined. I had like 40% margin. And now I actually have cash. I mean, this is good times. It's good times. This chart is not as informative, but it's still really cool to look at. You can sort it by total return. You can sort it by equity. You can see which one's your biggest positions, etc. All right. Now, moving on. I don't like when it does this. It resets it back to normal. I wish it would stay, remember my setting, but it doesn't. So that's the account, by the way. So I'm going to talk first about the residential situation that I have, the property real estate residential quest that I have here. I'm looking for a fund or a company that operates, and especially one that owns outright residential buildings, like condos or like townhouses, apartments, things like that, and hopefully owns the land underneath. Owns and operates, and just kicks out a dividend. That's what I want. I want to have exposure to some real estate through a symbol. Now, there's this company called Fundrise, which is, building a good reputation with investors. But unfortunately, when you put money in that fund, they are locked in. You don't have the liquidity. Like, you can't just pull out whenever you want. You could try, I think, you sell your stake or something to someone else, but it's a very complicated process and just not liquid. So you can only pull your money out like once every 2 or 5 or whatever years. And that just doesn't work for me. I mean, if I think the residential is going in the toilet, I need to pull my money out today for whatever reason. I need liquidity. if I want to buy an Aston Martin tomorrow, I mean, how am I going to use my Fundrise funds to fund my purchase? It's not going to happen. So I need some liquid. I need a symbol, and I'll show you some of my findings. Right? I think I mentioned this before, but there's a company called EQR. It's on my watch list. Let's see here. Under the opportunity watch list, I have EQR. So this company is not recovering very well off of the lows here. Post virus crisis, post March 27th, or more April 3rd, whatever. I don't know what the lowest point was here. April 3rd, maybe. It's not recovering very well, but you know, it looks okay. So basically what it does, I'll just read it off of the description. It says it engages in the acquisition, development, and management of rental apartment properties, which includes the generation of rental and other related income through the leasing of apartment units to residents. So that's the key part that I'm looking for, right? I want the leasing part. I want to lease to residents. Housing. The company, blah, blah, blah. So that's what it does, right? Dividends 4%, which is pretty good. You know, I'll take it as long as it's reliable. And it looks like their earnings are extremely steady, just like not as steady, but you know, close to being steady. I like it that they're, you know, I think they look more conservative than some other real estate funds, and it looks like they're not gonna have huge losses and dips because of like some leverage products that they use in order to hedge their positions or interest rates or whatever. So many of these funds enter into these complicated structures, right, to preserve capital, but ends up really biting them in the back and when there's a shock. And so that's why many of these companies actually end up going down in value quite a bit. If you take a look at, you know, Invesco Mortgage Capital, which I wouldn't mind, you know, owning, but look at this, right? $17.99, $18 pre-virus, and now boom, $195. I mean, you can't put a large sum of money in a company like that, right? You just get wiped out overnight. And that's why I hadn't put anything in it. You know, all these companies like this one or MFA or whatever, they do the same thing. I mean, they're just really, you know, really unreliable that way. So, and it's because of their, you know, it's because of their structures that this happens. And it's just nobody knows like what's going on inside the company right now. Might be a good pickup, but might not be. You might lose all your money that you put in there. So it's just too many unknowns. So anyway, back to EQR. Sorry, I lost it for a moment. You know, I'm looking for, you know, something like this. So if you know anything, either about this company or about a company like this, because this one doesn't look too hot, like an exemplary company that does this and leases out properties to residents, especially middle class to upper class residents, I'm really interested because apartment buildings, it sounds like they lease to a lot of low income, you know, people, and I'm not hating on low income people. I'm fine with that, except they're running into a lot of trouble paying their rent right now, right? Because of the virus situation, and then you have, you know, it's more likely from day to day for them to have trouble and be swayed by economic, you know, waves than someone who has a lot of savings or, you know, a lot of income that's more reliable. So I'm looking for something like that. So if you know anything, please just holler at me in the comment section so I can start reviewing it. But don't link me, don't comment with anything that has to do with just mortgages or like commercial properties or anything like that. I'm strictly looking for companies that own housing units of some sort, right? Whether it's condos, apartments, or townhouses, or even single family homes, something like that. So I'm looking for a ticker, not a illiquid company investment of some sort. All right, I can find those. Okay, so if you can help out, please do, and share the wealth of knowledge over here to everybody else as well. Now, I want to share a revelation that I had about what it seems to be the secret recipe to succeeding in today's market as a company. It came to me that all the successful companies nowadays are doing the same stuff. I mean, they all found a recipe that is just soaking up capital out there, and it's really, really working for them. So here it is, right? Here's the formula. You need to have a proprietary software of some sort, like an operating system, right? You need, or like maybe a platform, and then you have to have a hardware piece to attach it to. So you basically monopolize it. You develop an ecosystem, and you monopolize that piece of function, entertainment, or functionality of some sort, right? So let's take a look at all the big companies and figure it out, right? One of the biggest companies, Microsoft. What does Microsoft do? They have proprietary software, right? They have an operating system, and they have a bunch more stuff. They have also have a platform, where people can sell and buy programs, things like that. And they have hardware pieces. They don't really need to make the hardware. I mean, they had the Windows Phone, which is kind of a failure, but they have, I think they make like Surface or something, laptop, but they have every single other computer manufacturer out there making their hardware piece. They're just kind of outsourcing that to every single other PC maker out there. So they have that going. Now let's take a look at another company like Google. Google does the same stuff, right? So it's got proprietary software, right? It's got a platform with Google Play and all that. It's got Android, right? And then you have everybody making phones for them. They even got into the business of making a phone as well, like Windows, and they didn't do too well. But in my opinion, your hardware piece as a big company cannot compete with somebody else's hardware piece. Like, who's going to compete against Apple on phones? That's just not what you guys do. So you need to find a different hardware piece to monopolize. And I should tell you one company that has really done that. Then let's take another company, right? Apple, just talked about. So they have their operating system, they have a platform, right? They have the proprietary software, they have the hardware pieces, right? They have not only their computers, but the big one, which is the phone, and then they even have other hardware like pods and whatnot. So they're doing great, and they're starting to monetize their user base now too. So another one, the other big ones, Amazon, right? What does Amazon have? Proprietary software. They're monetizing the users on all sides of the equation, right? Their buyers and their sellers, right? And they make a bunch of money from advertisement, and that's how they're monetizing as well. And so they also have their hardware piece too, which many people kind of overlook, which is the Kindle, right? The Kindle Fire or Kindle, whatever. I mean, my mom uses it. She shops Amazon from there. She buys books. Where else are you supposed to get books? There's a lot of readers out there worldwide. Where the hell else are they supposed to get books besides Amazon? I mean, what? Barnes and Noble? Borders closed, right? What? Borders.com? Just nobody's selling books anymore. I just see these little tiny Amazon stores around that have like self-checkout or whatever. They're trying to make it all efficient. And that's it. So Amazon's got it. They've kind of monopolized that little tablet Kindle thing, right? So the only company they have to compete with is iBooks and Apple, but they have a little bit of a harder process. Apple does when it comes to their products, and I just don't think it's as widespread. They haven't really been able to compete as much with Amazon in that department. But anyways, the Amazon Kindle program is on the Apple Store, by the way, so there's a little bit of crossbreeding going on in there. But and then the final one, I mean, all of them do that, right? And the final one here that I want to talk about is actually Tesla. You wouldn't think about it, but your homeboys at Tesla, bro Elon, has the proprietary software, right? So he has that ingredient. And what is it installed on? What is this hardware device? Well, it's the car. It's the Tesla cars. That's his hardware. Okay, that's where his operating system lives. That's his iPhone. That's his Kindle, right? That's his Google Glass. Okay, if you're a millennial or older, you know the Google Glass holes, right? So that's Google's failure of trying to make their own hardware monopoly. And I actually applaud that. I think Google was right to try to develop the sunglasses or glasses or whatever and integrate their software into that. But they were just too early, too messy. Execution was poor. There's not a lot of detail, paid detail attention to detail, no design, and so it failed. But it's not to say that it wouldn't fail if it was done right. And that was their chance to kind of monopolize that a little bit and add another multiple in their company. But Tesla has the software and the hardware, and you could say that they have a monopoly on that hardware because the barrier of entry for a software developer to develop a hardware piece attached to the software is extremely high. I mean, the unit costs, $38,000 at a minimum or something. I don't know how much the cheaper car is, but they run up into the over 100,000. So barrier of entry is really, really high, and so he has this monopoly. Whether that's accidental or not, that's up for you to decide, or we can ask Elon himself. But the crazy thing about this is that I don't even think he realizes yet, or he could, and that might have been his master plan from the get-go, which I don't think it is because he's too concerned about going to Mars. But what I really think it is, the biggest gold mine is that the car can be a platform as well. It can be a platform just like Apple and Facebook. It can be a platform like Google. You could have developers start to write software for the car. Like, imagine the crazy stuff that could come out of this, right? There's some creative minds out there. They could find functions for the car to do. The car can do a lot more than a phone. Okay, it has a lot more extremities. I mean, just imagine some of the things that can happen, right? So on the phone, you have so many apps that utilize the flash, right? The movement, the gyroscope in there, whatever, right? They have so many creative ways to just use this single little piece, right, of technology here in order to create some crazy like stuff, right? I remember that there was this thing where, you know, this program where it buzzed and it made it go into around and around and take like video or something like this. And so I mean, people get super creative with this. Now imagine if this thing had, wheels. It could go like 100 plus miles per hour, right? It has doors. It has all kinds of functionality. I mean, do you guys remember that little dance that they programmed into the software for what was that, for Christmas or something like that, where it danced to some song? But that's just scratching the surface, and it's not even scratching the surface, it's just pointing to the surface of what's possible. So I think that's where the biggest gold mine is on Tesla, and that's perhaps what some investors are seeing in the stock, and maybe that's why it's surging so high. I'm definitely not a Tesla hater. I think that I don't own any of the stock personally. I just sold 3 shares from my mom's account. She has 6 more. So because I mean, it's just the valuation is just ridiculous. It's valued more than the biggest car manufacturer in the world, which is Toyota, and it makes like 1/30th of the cars, at least for last year, that Toyota made. So, I mean, it's ridiculously overpriced. But, you know, this kind of stuff, okay, the platform idea, and eventually they're already monetizing their users through software, right? If you want a certain package, you have to pay more money, like DLC, right? If you're a gamer, you know what I mean. So they're already monetizing their customers, and that could continue. But it could really be a platform. I see a lot of opportunity on there, and Teslas are getting pretty widespread, and you're gonna have a big marketplace for these guys. Just like the iPhone, you want to start with a premium product, get it in a lot of hands, and just now, Apple's beginning to monetize their users with all these like news services, music services, video, Apple Plus, whatever, all this stuff. They're starting to monetize, and that's almost like late stage company there. So perhaps that is what the Tesla investors are seeing. Now, I'm getting tired because it's been 20 minutes, and this is the second 20-minute video I recorded because, again, the Microsoft, that's how tired I am. The mic was put too low, and so the audio was not transferred, and so I had to do it again. But I can't believe that I'm actually making a case for Tesla to go higher. It could If this happens, I think it will add a multiple that will take it into the most valuable companies of the world, if not the most valuable company, which is a crazy thing for me to say because I think it's so extremely overpriced right now. But the future does, I mean, if it continues this way and they play their cards right, there is a small chance, I'll put it at like 5% chance, it's not too small actually, for Tesla to become one of, if not the biggest, most valuable company in the world. I can't believe I'm saying this. Alright, if you managed to watch this video till the end, first of all, if you have any comments on that, let me know if I'm making a good argument. Let me know if I made a good argument. But if you just watched this video all the way till the end, type Tesla to the moon in the comment section. Such a meme. Alright, peace out.